Hi there, I'm Sarah White from ourdailycraft.com, and today I want to teach you how to make these cute little mini cross-stitch refrigerator magnets. So these are a really fast and easy project. We might be able to do the entire thing while we're talking here. And it's just done in a bottle cap. You can use purchased flat bottle caps, or you can just use ones from your favorite beverages that have a metal top. So you'll need a bottle cap, you'll need a small piece of cross-stitch fabric, some thread, a needle. I have 2 pairs of scissors, one for cutting the fabric and one for cutting the threads. You'll also need a tiny piece of batting, or you could use a cotton ball, probably would work for this. You need a very, very small amount of something to stuff it with, and you can tell these are all kind of a little bit different in the amount of stuffing that's in them. You'll need some flat magnets, and I like to use just a normal sewing pin to help get the edges a little bit nicer. This one could still use some work, but I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. And we also will need some just plain white glue to put it all together. So I've just got some thread from out of my stash and a little piece of scrap cross-stitch fabric as well. Let's get some of these things out of the way so we can see a little better. I have not really measured this. I think it's about 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters square, but I like to set the bottle cap onto the fabric and then just make sure that it's a little bigger than the size of the bottle cap. And then we're gonna stitch something onto it. I think I might just do a smiley face because that'll be super fast, right? So I'm gonna thread my needle. This was floss that was already in my stash as 2 threads instead of the 6 that they come in from the store. So if you are starting from fresh thread and need to separate out 2 strands to work with, you can do that. And I'm going to show you how I like to tie a knot. So I just lay the ends over the needle and then wrap around 3 times and then pull that to the end. I know some people don't like knots in their cross stitch, but for this purpose I don't actually care because it's going to be all hidden anyway, right? Okay, so to do a smiley face, I'm going to just start with the eyes. Of course, you can draw out a pattern beforehand if you want to. Most of these that I've done that I just showed you were pretty much just doodles. They weren't planned out all that well before I started, which I think is kind of fun to just, you don't doodle with cross stitch that often, but it's fun to be able to do that. My smiley's gonna look a little evil because I used red thread, but I think that's okay. We're gonna drop down a couple rows to do our smile. If you're going to draw out your chart before you start, or even if you're just thinking about it while you're stitching, the stitch area for these is about 10 stitches by 10 stitches. So we're looking at small projects here, which is fun because you can do them really fast and you can make a whole bunch. This is a great first project for someone. It also would be a good one for kids or teens who are learning how to cross stitch for the first time because they can show their personality a little bit, but it's a very small project that you can do in one sitting. As you can see, we're almost done already. And so there's like an instant gratification to it. That's really nice for kids and adults alike. If you are new to cross stitch, or even if you're not, you know, these would be fun gifts to make for people. And you could make, you know, I had, as you saw earlier, I have a heart and a star that's gotten all my magnets. This one was just, I don't know, it was meant to be a circle. It's not very circular, but that's the matter of cross stitch because it's squares. You could do small letters. This is not even straight, is it? Look at that. Okay, so I'm going to rip out this last stitch real fast and make my smile a little wider so that it's lined up with the perils of stitching and talking at the same time is you're not always counting. So let's fix that up real fast and I'll show you how to finish. So we're going to stitch one more into the smile. And then come up and do one more. And it doesn't have to be perfectly centered on the fabric because you can sort of mess with that as you install it into the magnet or into the bottle cap. But if you want to make sure that it's centered, you can do that by just folding your piece of fabric in half and in half again, and then mark, you know, that center spot, or you can see kind of where the fold is when you're when you unfold it, and then you can start your stitching there or work from that center point to figure out where you need to start your stitching. And then I'm just going to take this through a few stitches on the back. Again, you can tie a knot because it's not going to show anyway, but that's just usually how I finish. So that's our little face for the magnet. I'm actually going to take even less of this stuffing than I have, and I'm going to kind of just push it in and sort of start folding the edges over, even though it's not getting positioned yet. If you can hear the cat having a fit in the background, I apologize. That's Haru. She's probably got some piece of yarn or something that she's very excited about and wants me to know about. And so you get to know about it too. So you can see sort of without the glue what that's going to look like when you put your piece in there. I feel like this bottle cap is slightly bigger than the ones that I used from the, which it is, as you can see. So I might have a little less on the edge than I had before, but we'll make it work. So then you just take your regular glue and we're gonna kind of coat the bottom of our bottle cap with glue. Now, of course, the edges are going to be the most important part, so we can just sort of tilt it until we've got a pretty good little coat most of the way around the bottom of our bottle cap. And then we're going to do that stuffing move again and kind of folding all the edges in as best we can. This part can get a little messy. We'll see how well I can do it on the first go. Not very well, obviously. So you're going to kind of push the fabric under and tuck it in as best you can. I'm trying not to get glue all over myself so it's not going as smoothly as it could. And again, I think my fabric piece was just a little bit smaller than it probably should have been, but we'll make it work. We're going to just go in and tuck those edges. And this is why I also like to have a little needle, which I have lost. There we go. A little pin so that you can kind of use that to pinch down those edges, but also kind of keep the the body part of it puffy. Skip that spot for right now, it's being annoying. But as you tuck it down, this might be the part that takes the longest, honestly, when you've got a really simple design like I just did. But it's worth it to take the time to try and get it so that the edges are all tucked in nicely. And then here I'm going to use the pin to try and pull that fabric back out a little bit so that it's not tucked in. It doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously, there are going to be little tucks and folds. You might not end up perfectly centered when you're done from all the futzing, but we're going to do what we can do to tuck in. And if you feel like you need more glue on some of these bits that are being difficult, I might want to add just a tiny of glue directly to the fabric here, just a tiny. White glue dries clear, so it's not a huge deal if you can see a little bit of it. You can also peel off the excess once it's dry, but that might help if you've got bits that are not being as helpful as you would like. Even there, still it's kind of trying to pull out. And if you need to stop and hold it for a minute to hopefully get that glue to start solidifying in that particular spot, that's fine too. Hopefully you're getting the idea. If this doesn't come together in the next minute or so, we'll go ahead and finish up, but you see what we're going for. This one's being super difficult. So if you want to err on the side of having a slightly bigger piece of fabric so that it's a little less troublesome, I mean, sticking all the fabric in there and tucking it under properly can be a little tricky regardless, but I think we are getting there. Yeah. Maybe you're going to have to hold the other edges a little bit as you go through, just to make sure that they don't pop back out while you're working on the other side. Okay, I think we might call that for now. You get the idea anyway. You can spend as much time, the more I'm touching it, the more it's trying to pop back out again. So, but you can, continue to mess with yours as you need to get those little edges tucked in nicely. But I think we're going to call that good for this one. And then to install the magnet, because your bottle cap is metal, all you need to do is just add the magnet to the back, and then it'll stick to whatever magnetic surface you want to use. I'm going to pull in my other ones just to show you again some of the options. These charts will be available on ourdailycraft.com, but you can also just play with it yourself. If you have craft paper, you can draw out a shape that you want to try. If you don't want to just doodle, you can probably find many cross-stitch patterns online, though these are really, really small, so you may have to adjust a little bit to make them as small as this, but there you have it. I love this project for being a really quick and easy introduction to cross-stitch. and just a quick project for anyone who wants to add a little crafty something to their fridge or wherever they use magnets in the home. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon. Have a crafty day.